Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Pluck from the Garden for another episode. Today I'm gonna be doing the part two of the Breaking the Generational Curses. Beautiful young lady, beautiful young man. All right. I am Nicole. If you guys don't already know me, I am the host. I am the owner. I am the person for Pluck from the Garden. Pluck from the Garden comes from a standpoint of an actual real garden, but then also looking and viewing yourself as that garden as well, and what you need in order to keep that garden maintained and keep that garden going. So that's what Pluck from the Garden is. If you guys are not aware, if you're new here to the channel, I kind of talk about all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've gotten to a point where I'm coming out of give the people what they want, give the people what they want. No, I'm giving the people what is needed. So and hey, you can like it or you don't have to. That's fine. But if you are here, then more than likely it is a message that you need to hear. So I am going to get started. Again, this video is the part two of the beautiful young lady breaking those generational curses. Just accepting any and everything into our lives. The first video I touched on parts of my life, which this is my channel, and that's what it's gonna be. It's about me. It's about me. It's about my story, the things that I have dealt with, the things that I've gone through, how I came out of them, if I'm still in some of them, going through some things, but that's part of life. We're always building. We're constantly growing. So I look at it like that. I don't necessarily look at it as failures or anything like that. I look at it as accomplishment, achievements, moving up, whether, you know, it is spiritually, financially, it doesn't matter, but it's moving out of old energy and replenishing with new energy. Or should I say, moving out of that old pot or that old place that you were in and coming out of it. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with the word ineffective. So I said in my the first video that I was very ineffective, and that was from my start. Now, what I want you to understand is that this is not, and I have to reiterate this is not about just you and your guy or you and your girl. Like, this covers a lot of places in your life, period, because it's not just the acceptance of any and every body or man or woman into your life, but those things spill out into other things in your life. So if you're accepting it in one place, then I can almost guarantee that you're accepting it in other places, in other areas of your life as well. Ineffective. I said that I was ineffective from the start of my relationship, just because I didn't know who I was. I was 18 years old and I was just starting out. So how do I know who I am? Or how do I know that I even need to work on some of these issues or things that I dealt with as a child? And that's really what a lot of things stem back to. It stems back to your childhood. Does that give you an excuse to do any manner of badness and do horrible things? No, No, it doesn't. It gives you the accountability to stand up and be accountable for how you played a part in any situation. So for me, it was too late before I actually recognized these patterns, or patterns that I had. And one of those patterns was leaving. Like, I was a runner, and I didn't even realize it until, one day wisdom spoke to me and said, you run. When it gets hard, you're gonna run. And I didn't see it like that then, because I didn't see myself as being a runner. And at that time, I didn't feel like I had enough going on in my life that I was running from. But guess what? I had left home at 16 years old, just because it was too much, or it got to a point where I felt like I could possibly be disrespectful to my parents. Well, me growing up, and probably in your generation, our generation, and before that, I don't know what's going on with this new generation, but the old generation, if you feel like you're gonna be disrespectful, and you are disrespectful, you need to go. And even at that age, I knew, this is not gonna turn out good if I stay. So I left. But that started a pattern of me running or leaving, when it got too hard. And that carried on over into my adulthood. So I had to eventually, it took a while, but eventually I recognized that I had a pattern. And that pattern was running. Like, I would take and deal. But then when I just couldn't take it anymore, I would leave that, let that go, and I didn't think it was anything wrong with that. But it was something wrong with it, because what I hadn't done was I recognized at that point that I had a pattern, but before then, there was no recognition of a pattern, or that I was doing these things, even though it had been said to me, but no, that's not true, but it was true, it was true. So I had to recognize that pattern, and not just recognizing that pattern, but recognize when that pattern started. Where did it originate from? When did I start doing that? Because a lot of times we are in situations and we try to figure out, how did we get here? How did we get to this point? Well, you don't really know how you got to that point, unless you really sit down. It's like losing something and you don't know where it is. So what do you do when you can't find something? You're going to keep looking, and you're going to keep looking for it, and you're going to keep looking for it. And you might find it, or you're going to stop, take a moment, don't look for it, and you're going to backtrack. You're going to backtrack all the places that you had your keys. All the places that these keys were, you're going to backtrack. So once you backtrack, now all those places, images have come up, just like a reel. So those images are coming up, and you can see, okay, I left my keys here. And then you can go to them. But if you just looking for the keys with no thought of, where did I have the keys last, or what was I doing, when I had the keys, then, you're just going to be looking, and you're probably going to be late for work or late for whatever it is that you're trying to get to, because it's kind of hard sometimes to just find those keys that you've lost. It takes a while to find them, because you don't know, especially if you don't take the time to stop, backtrack, Go back over your stuff. And to some people might say, don't, it's no need to go back over the past, or it's no need to go back over those things. That is absolutely incorrect. I believe that the past is very relevant to the future, because if you don't understand your own past and what has passed and how that even came to be, and past, but it has affected this now reality. Okay, so that's why it's good to backtrack. Not backtrack to hurt yourself, do self-sabotage, bashing yourself, hurting yourself that way. Don't cut yourself. And when I say don't cut yourself, somebody be cutting themselves. But don't, that's not even a subject that I can really touch on, because I mean, I've never done that. I have hurt myself before, but I've never done that. But don't cut yourself. Get you some help. Really. So we just we went over recognizing a pattern. Where did the pattern originate from? How did you get there? Okay, so that's very important. I also spoke on wanting to be loved and wanting to be accepted. Okay, wanting to be loved and wanting to be accepted. I wanted to be accepted because I just felt like, and I'm not talking about relationship wise, I'm just talking about in life, period. I wanted to be accepted. I felt like I wasn't accepted, like it was something wrong with me, or nothing that I did, I could never get it right, or I didn't say it the right way, or I was too honest, or I was too blunt, or I shouldn't have said that, or, like, just don't talk. Don't say nothing. Don't say anything. But from that, and I remember at one point, I said something in a class one day, and I basically called somebody out, and I called that person a liar. And I know I thought that I didn't say it bad, but to somebody else, I guess that truth is bad. That truth hurts, and to the other people, they probably thought that I was just saying something. Cause most people think that I just be saying stuff, okay? But I don't just say stuff. Like, if I say something, it has a meaning to it. It has purpose behind it. Always. So, with that acceptance, wanting to be loved, I'm all over the place. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. Because this is not just an acceptance of my marriage at that time, but it's an acceptance of my parents. It's the acceptance. Because, y'all, I didn't necessarily do it the right way. I got married and called my parents and told my parents after the fact. Like, they hadn't even met him. So, of course, they're going to be upset and angry at me. I would probably be very upset and angry with my kids if they did that too. Especially, you don't even know who the person is. You never met them. You don't know anything about them. You don't know their family. You don't know anything. Your daughter just calls one day and was like, well, yeah, I know I'm supposed to come back home, but I'm not coming because I got married. Like, what the fuck? I can only imagine their faces when I made that call that day. But that kind of, even with that, guess what? We have to realize that even our decisions make people upset. You know, they make people angry, especially as a kid. You know, you upset people because you don't necessarily do it how they wanted you to do it, or you should have took your time or not moved too fast, or whatever the case, you know. But still, I made this call and said this, and it's like, ugh. So with that, that puts a damper on things. It puts a damper on people. You know, it was always a thing of, um, are they still mad at me for that? Or, you know, I hope they can get past that. But then now, you know, going to something, and I didn't really involve my parents in really in my marriage at all, to be honest. So a lot of things they don't know. You know, some things that I did share, but very little, very little. But that acceptance of people, you know, you don't want them to not like you. Then with me being the only child, so I grew up alone. Not only did I grow up alone, but I was also bullied, you know, as a child too, like by 3 sisters. And yes, I'm not calling no names, but if you ever come across this video, you know who you are. But I used to get bullied. I used to get jumped. I mean, we could be standing there talking, laughing, and out of nowhere they would just hit me in my face. And that was the thing, like they would try to mess up my face. That was the thing. So it was all these different things. You know, I'm light skinned. Well, at that time we lived in an apartment complex, so we the same. But then I'm a kid, so I don't look at things that way. You know, I don't even know anything about that. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing to me, you know, until I realize, like, my light skin, I'm too light. You know, I'm too light, and people don't like me because I'm too light. Oh, now we move into a house. Well, now I don't like you because you're too light and because you're rich. I am rich. I'm just waiting to receive my money. Yeah. But all those things were entangled in the makeup, in the build of Nicole. Okay, so with all those things, the bullying, only child, trying to find acceptance from parents, you know, trying to, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I really don't know. You know, but I just wanted to be accepted, and it put me in places where I allowed people to just run all over me. You know, I'm naturally a nice person. Yes, my daughter says that I'm aggressive. I am aggressive. That's the Capricorn in me. I'm serious, straight to the point. Just say it, you know. But with that acceptance, I just took on stuff. When people were nice to me, when it came down to jobs, you know, most of the time I didn't even realize I would be the one doing because I wanted to be the one that stood out. I wanted to be the one that you saw, because for so long I felt invisible. Like I was invisible and misunderstood. So even in feeling invisible and misunderstood, it's like you kind of, when you think that somebody understands you, you kind of cling to that person, or you try to kind of stay with that person. Somebody, you know, but then that puts you in bad hands sometimes. Because as Matthew was saying in the prior video, you either gonna pray or you're gonna be the prey. Which one? So that's when it comes down to acceptance. What are you in search of? And I asked that question because for me, I was in search for love, but I didn't know what love even looked like. So how could I be in search of something that I don't know what I'm searching for? Okay, so a lot of times as a female, and like Matthew said, men, we want love too. But then sometimes that man could have came from a broken home. And even when it comes down to it, this is all going back to broken people. Broken people transferring over to broken people. You just transferring brokenness. I'm broken. You recognize that I'm broken, but you're broken too. And I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm just talking about when you're broken, guess what? You tend to go towards broken people that are like you, okay? And then you fester in that brokenness together, or you actually go to somebody that's like, no, we're not going to be like this forever. Like myself, like, no, I'm not going to be a victim to being broken forever. Like, let me find out how I played a part and let me get this thing cleaned up. Not only cleaning it up on my side, but also cleaning it up in the other areas that people were actually affected by. Because you have to realize too that even when you start adding these attachments in, and I've done a video on attachments before, but I think it's might be a little bit more detailed. But even when you start adding adding those different things in, then it just begins to pile up. And it's almost like you become a hoarder of being a victim and being broken. A hoarder of being a victim and being broken. So you just keep building. And at some point, it's going to be a break in that. At some point, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. You're not going to be able to keep going like that. Eventually you will break down. Your body will break down. So I was in search for this love. I didn't know what love was. I didn't even know what that felt like. Even my kids, of course I know my kids love me, but still, it was like, that's not it, and this is not to say my kids don't love me or their love is not enough. What I'm saying is it comes a time where you have to really be honest with yourself in what is enough. What is enough, even when it comes down to love or relationships. What is enough? So for me, when I say that wasn't enough for me, because still it was still a void there where I'm almost like I'm still missing something. I still haven't gotten it yet. I'm still waiting on this, of what this love thing, that feeling that would KO my logic and send my emotions just a reeling. Okay, so I'm just waiting, or I'm doing things that I want done for me. So now that puts me in a place of doing always for somebody else. I'm doing not just because I want something in return. I don't do because I want something in return. But then again, I am doing it because I want something in return. I want you to treat me how I treat you. So if I'm good to you, be good to me. But that's not always the case. Okay, so that's where that pray comes in. You know, it comes a time where as a female or even as a male, we have to step out of that victim role. You cannot keep being a victim forever. At some point, you're going to have to take responsibility and accountability for your actions because in the matter. All actions have consequences, and whether that action was good or bad will be the consequence. Okay, so again, looking for something that I don't even know what it looks like. I don't even know what that feels like. Okay, so how do you get to that point to even know what it looks like, to even know what it feels like? Well, I know what it looks like and I know what it feels like, but I knew what it looked like and what it felt like on a spiritual level as it concerned God, but still abusive to myself, because that's not what I felt in the presence of God is not the same thing. So yeah, I can feel that there, but then remember, we are on earth. We are in human form. So in human form, naturally, we're going to want these things that, you know, love and happiness and peace and but the question is, do you know who you are? Because if you don't know who you are, you will never be able to find what it is that you're looking for. So if you are looking for happiness, you're not going to find it by taking steps ahead and not deal with self. You just can't move forward. Like you'll move forward, but you'll always be going backwards. You'll continue to go backwards. Continue to go backwards. And not a backwards like, oh yeah, I remember the last time when I did this. This is what happened. Not that kind of backwards. Like backwards, doing it, repeating it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, so until I actually knew who I am, then I wasn't happy. I mean, it didn't matter who did. I was not happy. I wasn't happy. I was angry still. I was bitter. You know, I just had stuff. And it wasn't just 21 years, but it was the 18 or the 19, the 21 years prior to that. You know what I'm saying? So I was the bag lady. But when I began to search, the dog wants to be seen, y'all. He wants to be seen. I got him covered. He don't like that. But once I began to deal with myself, began to face some circumstances and situations that have happened in my life that I just kind of blocked away, just kind of put away, and never talked about it, never dealt with those things, I was suddenly actually facing those things. So that meant that now I had to get on the phone. I had to call people. I had to ask questions. I had to apologize or speak my piece, speak my truth, you know, hear them out. And I did not wait for forgiveness from anybody. Because that's not my place to wait for your forgiveness or to even wonder if you've forgiven me for anything that I've ever done that might have wronged somebody or anything. Like, I'm not waiting for forgiveness. I already got my forgiveness. Okay. So, and that's another thing too, forgiving yourself, because It's like going to somebody and saying, do you forgive me? And they say, oh yeah, I forgive you. But then you don't forgive yourself. That was something that I experienced too. I didn't even realize that it was a such thing as forgiving myself. You know, one day I'm in a conference and the lady's talking and I'm like, oh my goodness, like you telling my story. And I remember her saying that if you want prayer, come to the altar and I'm going to pray for you. But I remember when I got up, I went to the altar, but I did not go to her. I went to the altar to my knees to pray. And I remember when I started, I said, Lord, can you please forgive me, for what I did. Like I knew like what I had done was, oh my gosh. And it ate me up forever. And finally, that day when I went to the altar and I began to pray and I asked God to forgive me, that was when I heard, I need you to forgive yourself. I need you to forgive yourself because you've already been forgiven. From the first time you ask, you keep asking. But I've already forgiven you. But when will you forgive yourself? So a lot of times we can't move forward, even in dealing with these patterns, things that we keep repeating. We can't move past them because we're either waiting on acceptance, waiting for the forgiveness, or you haven't forgiven yourself. I mean, to me, it can be them three things, or you just don't want to get well. You like being a victim. Some people, that's their show. They like that. Me personally, even in that class, I had made up in my mind, okay, I had my spiel. I done told my story. All right, that's over. Let's get this thing popping. Let's move out of this energy. Let's be different. Let's not do the same things again. Oh, I see. I recognize. All right. Let's move on from that. Okay? Now, from what I just said, do you know when to stay? And do you know when to leave? Knowing when to stay. Now, in the beginning of that first video, I did talk about, or throughout the whole thing, I did talk about relationships, and I really touched a lot on my old relationship. Do you know when to stay? Movement without purpose is detrimental. Movement without purpose is detrimental. Okay? Even speaking without purpose is detrimental. Very. Okay? Because when it comes down to knowing when to stay, and this, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for nobody else. I got a big life, a big story, a mini voice, but a big voice. So, but knowing when to stay. When it comes down to the knowing when to stay, again, I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know what, I knew I wanted love, I wanted acceptance, and this, that, and the other. But love and acceptance from this, that, and the other can be toxic, because who I could be getting that from could be toxic. So knowing when to stay. When it comes down to even relationship wise, I said that I wanted to be loved and I wanted to be accepted, and that was it. But I don't feel the same way no more. Okay? I am already loved and I am already accepted. And matter of fact, I've always been loved and I've always been accepted. Always been chosen from the very beginning. It was just a matter of me being able to recognize that. So in staying, before you even went into that, I didn't think about what is his vision? What is my vision? Is he already walking in his vision? Can he sustain our vision? Can he provide for our family? Can he love for our family? Is he in touch? Is he in tune spiritually? Do we line up spiritually? That's very important too. At this point in my life, I can't have nobody in my life that does not line up with my spirituality. Okay? Because now we're gonna be unequally yoked. We're gonna be unequally yoked if I do that. So those are some things to think about when choosing someone, or even when it comes down to a job. How is it going to benefit you? You know, it's been times where I just went and took a job just because I wanted to get the experience right quick. I got that under my belt now, you know. And that's another thing, like, people will be running to school. There's nothing wrong with going to school. I mean, school is great, but guess what? What if you just go to a job and get it? Just go to a job and get the experience. It's way cheaper. And then when you get tired and you don't want to do that now, you know, or you got what you need, then go. But those are things that really should be considered. You know, how is this person going to take care of you? You know, what is this person's vision? What do they have in store? What are they doing right now? Where are they going? And even if they don't have it right now, can you show me the vision? Can you take me? Can you show me the vision? Can you show me how you're going to put this together if you don't have it already? You know, can you show me how you already been working on this? Because one thing I know that I said I would not do again is I would not have somebody in my life again where I am a supporter of everything that you've ever wanted to do and accomplish, and everything that I want to do and accomplish just sits on the back burner. No. Like, you need to know that you are not going to be put on the back burner, that you will be first priority always, you know. And that is not just first priority over the kids, you know. Like, no, I'm first priority over everything other than God, period. Because I am you. So if I am you, then why wouldn't I be first priority? But then that's where we got to go within to even get to that point, to even be able to say. Or you have somebody that comes into your life and they fit the things that you've been manifesting, praying for, however you do it. Okay, I'm not knocking nobody for whatever, however they do. You are your own person and responsible for you. So, and that person fits the description and they're this, and then now you deal with, now it comes down to spirituality. And you might be in two different places. Well, that's okay a little bit, but then it's not. Because if I can't sit down and talk to you on a level that's gonna take us up, then I have a hard time having a conversation. And maybe because that's the part of me that everything is business, even that relationship. I don't care. Say it how you want to say it, think what you want to think, feel how you want to feel. It's business. It's a form of business, So even in your relationships, how are you conducting business? How are you conducting business? Are you just letting any and everything happen in your store or your shop, whatever your business is? Are you just letting people just tear up your stuff, take your stuff, and no, this is business. So we're going to deal with it accordingly, because we about to come into a union, a contract, an agreement, okay? And maybe take the agreement or the contract out of it, because at the end of the day, again, and when I say it's business, see, y'all might say, oh, business, you trying to make the relationship? Yes, because you know what? It's already been made a business. That's why you got to go to the courthouse and you got to sign paper. Why do you have to go to the courthouse and sign papers to marry or be with the person that you love? You know why? Because it is a business. So we need to start conducting things like for really what they are. Whatever is put into that business, that's what you're going to get back from the business. Or guess what? Sometimes you don't. But before you even go and invest in that business, you don't just go and invest in something. You watch it. You don't go and just buy stock. You watch it. And you watch, and you watch, and you watch, and you observe, and you see what it is that you're about to invest your. I'm almost out of time. I'm gonna have to clear my phone off, but I'm about to get off of here anyway. But what are you investing yourself into? What is the investment? If you know that you the investment, but what are you about to add to this investment? Okay, so whoever or whatever it is that you're going into, how does that accent you? How does that complement you? How does that build you? Is it going to take you somewhere? Am I going to be able to use this somewhere else? That's what I be thinking about. Okay, well, especially when I go to these jobs. How can I use this? You know what? I can take the same concept and I can do this and I can do that just off this one thing. Do you know how many things can come off of this one thing? Do you know how many things can come out of logistics? Like, I never thought that I would ever have anything to do with logistics, but guess what? Everything wasn't all bad because I learned logistics. And once I learned logistics, then I realized that everything literally operates like that, believe it or not. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get off. You guys, I hope that you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button if I resonate with you. If not, then hey, keep it moving and you can come back again. It doesn't matter. It's okay. But if you did, if I resonate with you, if you want to hear more, then hit that button. I'll be back. Peace.